Hi everyone, as promised, today we're going to check the pronunciation of regular verbs. So basically there are three possible sounds when we are pronouncing regular verbs in past. T, d, id. So quick disclaimer before I explain the rules. I advocate for diversity in pronunciation. I myself have an accent and I advocate for having an accent. I'm talking about foreigners. Let's forget about nativism. So from this point of view, the most relevant rule is this one. Differentiating when we pronounce the ID sound, the id, and when we pronounce whether it's a T or a D, it doesn't really matter when we are talking quickly, and it doesn't really matter when all we want is to communicate. So in order to really get how we pronounce verbs, we need to get some key concepts. First, we need to know that in English there are some voice sounds and we also have some voiceless sounds. So a voice sound is any sound that produces a vibration or humming sensation in the vocal cords. You can easily test this. So you just place your hand over here, and if you notice that if you make a sound, your throat vibrates, then it is a voice sound. So here are some sounds that are voiced sounds, okay? The ones that are marked here is because there is also a voiceless version of it. So here, for example, the voiced version of the TH sound is th, and it produces a vibration here. And this is also a voice sound. A voiceless sound is a sound generated in the front of the mouth. So it's not here, but here. It could be perceived as a percussive sound, as drum beats. P, k, s, sh, sh, th, f. If you repeat those sounds and you place your hand here, you will not feel any kind of vibration when you do this, p, k, because the sound is generated in the front of your mouth. Why is that important? We will see. Here, I'm going to explain the most important rule, the one that I mentioned. So these are the three ending sounds when we pronounce regular verbs in past. When the last sound of the regular verb is a D or T sound, for example, when we say invite, listen carefully to the last sound. Invite. What is the last sound? T, right? It's not the letter, because the last letter is letter E. So it's not the last letter. It's the last sound. The last sound in invite is this sound. T. Invite. Add the. So it's a D sound over here. Want. T. Land. Start. Visit. Decide. Again, here, the last letter is not the same as the last sound. We say decide. D. But what do all these verbs have in common? Two things. First, they are regular verbs. What it means is that we just add D or ED to write them in past, just like so. And second, the last sound when we pronounce these verbs in past is this sound, it. For example, invited or invited, added, wanted, landed, started, visited, decided. So in all these verbs, the letter E sounds, is not silent. Now, the verbs which last sound is voiced, the last sound of the verb produces a little vibration here in your throat. So here we have describe, b, agree, enjoy, play, identify, welcome, bathe, study. So in all these verbs and many others, if you do the test and there is a little vibration towards the end of the pronunciation of these verbs, it means that they are voiced. So for these verbs, the last sound will omit the pronunciation of the letter E when we turn them into past. So although we write it like describe it, the E sound is omitted. So we should say described. A friend of mine says that these verbs are pronounced like Michael Jackson used to sing. Played, That sound nd that he used in his songs. Shout out to Hugo Taborda. He's the one who came up with this joke. You can remember Michael Jackson with this by just making that little sound at the end. Nd. Like enjoyed, played, identified. Of course, I'm exaggerating here, but you get the idea. Just you pronounce welcomed, bathed, studied. And the last group are the group which last sound is voiceless. What it means is that there is no vibration here in your throat because the last sound of these verbs is generated here in the front of your mouth. So we say help. Remember that these are like percussion sounds. P, s, k, s, sh, f, k. In the written form, we write it help it, relax it, work it. All those pronunciations are incorrect. Instead of saying help it, we say helped, a T sound at the end. So for all these voiceless sounds, there is an extra voiceless sound when we write them in past, okay? Helped, relaxed, worked, kissed, washed, laughed, walked. Coming back to the note I made at the beginning of this video, this difference between the verbs that sound like D or T at the end is not really relevant when it comes to communication. What really is relevant is to divide the ones in which the letter E is ignored and just focusing on the verbs in which it actually is pronounced. Because in communication, that's what is important. When you watch movies, series, or when you're talking to native speakers even, you can't really tell all the time whether they are pronouncing a D at the end or a T sound at the end. But you can notice if someone makes a mistake saying describe it, that is obviously incorrect. In here, these letters should be silent, just like in here. Instead of saying help it, we say helped. Instead of saying describe it, we say described. In real life, just as I pointed out, I myself omit this thing, and many people omit this thing. What I really focus on, and you should too, is just focusing on when the E is actually pronounced, okay? That's what is relevant here about the pronunciation of regular verbs. All right, now I give you some tips. Basically, I already gave you the first tip, learning the ID rule. The second tip I want to give you is when a regular verb ends in a consonant plus the letter Y, you should change the letter Y for IED. That is in terms of writing. Example, identify in present ends in the letter Y. When we write it in past, we have to change the letter Y by I, right? This only applies when there is a consonant before the letter Y. If you notice, for example, in play, here we have play and there is a vowel. So when there is a vowel before the Y, there is no problem. We just add ED and that's it. So for study, we have the letter D before Y, and because we have a consonant before, we have to change the letter Y. We change it for an I-E-D. This has nothing to do with pronunciation, but rather with writing. There is no use in trying to sound like a native speaker again. There's no use to do that. Just learn the most relevant rules and focus on communication. All right? And that was all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something with this video, and that you practice. Remember that you will find a list of regular and irregular verbs in the description of this video. And if you haven't watched the first one in this series where I explain what is the basic difference between regular and irregular verbs, you are free to do that, all right? I'll see you in the next one. Take care.